I'm not going to be wasting much time on an intro as this video is already really long, but I'll just say what I have to say and then move on. These iceberg images pop up all the time for different series and, well, as the video says, I'll be going over the Danganronpa version. If you don't know what these mean, it's an image full of Danganronpa rumors, theories, or anything of the sort throughout the years. The deeper the layer / text is, the worse or more mysterious it gets. I'll be covering each one with as much detail as I can find. And well, with that out of the way, let's just start the Danganronpa Iceberg. Distrust beta. This beta is very popular and well known within the Danganronpa community. It's most famous for being a lot darker than the series, with a much more realistic tone and atmosphere than what was seen in the final game. In addition to this, there were multiple different gameplay elements that went unused, like a time limit or being able to choose who lives and who dies. Honestly, this beta has been covered way more times than I can count, so I'll just leave some videos in the description that go into way more detail about how the Distrust beta went. Yasuhiro First Victim. This is from the original Danganronpa 1 beta, which had Yasuhiro as the first victim for the other students to solve out. This also returned in the Danganronpa V3 demo, which had Hiro being the victim of the case. This is only done so no actual spoilers happen in the demo version of these games. However, due to it being Hiro, it's basically become a meme within the fandom. Hiyoko was supposed to be a survivor. This basically would have involved Hiyoko taking Fuyuhiko's spot as a survivor, which would mean that Fuyuhiko would have died or would have been a Chapter 3 victim, but this wasn't actually a thing. If you actually try doing research, all you'll get is results of people saying stuff such as, it's kind of a well-known fact that Hiyoko was originally going to be a survivor, but there is no evidence of this actually being a thing. Not on her wiki, not on Kodaka's Twitter, not anywhere. The only evidence I'm seeing on the topic is from a Korean website on where this rumor started. However, if this was actually real, why was this only covered on one Korean website? Surely it would have been covered other places. I've checked the website, and they mention that Fuyuhiko and Nekomaru were originally going to be victims of Chapter 3, but they don't actually say where they got this from and by who. They just start with, in fact, it was said. So as much as I want to believe this, without actually saying where they got this information from, it looks fake. I don't want to put this down as a completely false rumor because the whole evidence around is a bit weird, but the fact that we have little to no information on where they even got this from or what their sources are. So for me, as it stands, it's kind of up in the air if this is actually true or not. If an actual source gets updated on this, I'll make sure to mention it. Akane was the original rival. This is another well-known rumor. During the beta of Danganronpa 2, Akane was going to be the antagonist just like Kameda, but later on in development was given a different role. We can see by these early screenshots of the game where Akane was originally going to be the rival. Makoto Naegi Da. If you get Nagito Kameda's name, you can make an anagram of Makoto Naegi Da, which in Japanese stands for I am Makoto Naegi. This is only a reference and has nothing to do with the actual story of the game. However, it's become infamous with people who are first starting Danganronpa 2. Taka's unused execution. This comes from an official book where they listed the descriptions of executions for every Danganronpa 1 and 2 character that didn't already have one. For Taka's, it was basically him sitting in a vehicle with people cheering him on, and then he would get sniped from a distance. The reason why Taka's execution is the only one talked here outside of everybody else is because of this fan-made execution, which has over 1 million views, thus making this one of the most talked about ones and way more than the others, so if you want to go check it out, I'll leave a link in the description. Hajime was supposed to be the first victim. This comes from Chapter 1 in Danganronpa 2, in which Kameda tells Teruteru in a flashback that he doesn't care who the victim is, he just wants to start the killing. So by this logic, during the blackout, Kameda would have stabbed the nearest person, which would have been Hajime. Many people believe this, with others saying that Kameda was trying to bait Teruteru out instead, which is also something to think about. Red Cross Mikon. This is just from the Red Cross on Mikon's outfit, and the Red Cross on her death portrait too. It's basically a reference to a nurse's cross. Alternate color palettes for sprites. This is in relation to Himiko Yumeno and Ryoma Hoshi. They basically have different color palettes in their sprites that go unused in the game's files. It's hard to tell a difference, but you can definitely tell they're not the same, which only raises the question as to why their color palettes were slightly different in the first place. Unused Togami without glasses. In the files of Danganronpa, basically go Togami sprites without any glasses on. There isn't actually a reason as to why this is here, but it's been unused in every game since. So just take it, I guess. Be sure to drink your Kumatine Morse code in Danganronpa 2. Monokuma Theater 11 includes this, which is just a bunch of Morse code. Most people don't actually know what this is, but it basically translates to be sure to drink your Kumatine, which is basically a reference to a 1983 comedy movie called A Christmas Story, where the protagonist gets a Morse code message through the radio, and well, it's the same one as Monokuma says in the Monokuma Theater. The joke of this is that he was basically expecting an important message, but instead got a poorly placed commercial. So the Danganronpa devs were just having some fun where the player would expect an important message from this Morse code, but instead just got a commercial, just like in the movie. Peko vs Genocide Jack Ultra Despair Girls concept art. As the title says, it's just a piece of concept art that was present during the Ultra Despair Girls development. Obviously, when first seeing this, it would imply that Peko and Genocide Jack would fight, but as we all know, that doesn't happen. Usami in Danganronpa 1. Not a lot of people know about this, but at the end of Danganronpa 1's score mode, if you complete all the challenges, Monokuma tries to give you an execution to Makoto, but then it ends with Usami saving him and beating up Monokuma, in which he says the line, "This wasn't supposed to happen till the sequel." I have no clue if this was in the original PSP version of the game, however, I can safely say that this is still in the Vita and the PC versions. Angie finds Kibo attractive. This comes from Danganronpa V3 art book, but it was only in Japan. In the art book, it included characters' sketches, details, and an overall profile for everybody. And in addition, each character has something called a relationship chart, where the rest of the cast would give their opinions on the character. And within Kibo's relationship chart, we can see Angie say, "He's attractive," which I guess rubbed some players the wrong way, as Angie says literally nothing about Kibo being attractive within the game. So why would she just call him attractive here? Mew was made to be hated. Kodaka mentions in a tweet from March 8th, 2017, "When I created Iruma's character, the main thing I had on my mind was a character that will rank around last place if I ever did a popularity poll." Because of this tweet, many fans have implied that this is the reason why Mew constantly insults others, with some fans believing that Kodaka wanted to make Mew an unlikable character. However, we all now know that Mew is a very popular character within the fandom, and she also ranks very high on popularity polls. Himiko, Maki's, Kibo's, and Awaken Hajime's game over text. This comes from the times in the class trials that you get to play as the other protagonists, such as the ones listed. People believe that there are different or creepy game over texts, which I can kinda see as to why people would think this, just because if you do some research, there is legit zero footage or evidence of these characters having game over screens. And when you actually play the game, getting a game over with Maki, Himiko, or Awaken Hajime is actually really hard to do, as at this point the game just holds your hand and gives you either one truth bullet or makes it super easy and obvious what the answer is. Kibo's is a bit easier to get a game over with, as he has a couple non-stop debates. However, like I said, no such footage or evidence of this thing even exists. So, I went ahead in the game, went and played the trials again, and tried to get a game over with each character here. When you game over with Awaken Hajime, it gives you this glitchy game over text with Junko saying the lines,
"You don't have to look at the hopeless future."
For Himiko, Maki, and Kibo, all three pretty much have the same exact game over screen of them saying they can't do it, followed up by Tsumugi or Monokuma saying that the killing game will last forever. There isn't really a game over screen here like in Danganronpa 2, as if you give up it just boots you back to the title screen. Tsumugi lied. Honestly, for this one, I'm not too sure on all the information, but it basically comes from the ending of Danganronpa V3. It involves the whole line of Tsumugi saying, "I'll hold my head up high as a copycat killer." This could mean a lot of things and has created a lot of theories on the matter, which one of them being the entire series being fictional was all a lie, and was created by Tsumugi. Unused Ultra Despair Girls cutscene. There is an unused cutscene in the game files of Ultra Despair Girls, however, once you look into it, it's just an unfinished version of the final cutscene within the game. It's most likely left in the game files by accident, but because of Ultra Despair Girls is a very controversial game, plus the fact that the unused cutscene uploaded has actually been unlisted, which makes it even harder for people to find. And because of that, it's caused a lot of people to create some pretty over-the-top and ridiculous theories about what this could actually be. Mew's unused sprite was removed for ethical reasons. So this comes from an unused sprite within the game files, which I'm going to censor because it includes a sprite of Mew holding a purple spiked dildo. According to Taka, this sprite was going to be used for when she gets mad or annoyed. It's honestly not hard to figure out why they didn't use this, but it's interesting that they didn't flat out just say anything and instead said that they were forbidden to use it. Kazuichi and Mahiru were mistaken to be a couple. Okay, so this comes from the same Korean website as the Hiyoko being a survivor rumor, in which they state that within a 2012 September issue of a Korean magazine called Gamers, they did a walkthrough of Danganronpa 2 to help players, or for help people to get through the game. However, during this walkthrough, the writer treats Kazuichi and Mahiru as a canon couple for some reason, even though they have legit little to no interaction with each other in the game, so I'm a bit confused on how somebody could mistake them for a couple when writing an article. However, this was when the game first came out, so I can understand some mistakes are bound to happen. Danganronpa Another End. This is in reference to an unused alternate ending within the first Danganronpa game, and nothing of it is found within the game's files. This all started from this page, which, if I'm gonna be honest, I'm actually not 100% sure where this comes from, but it's definitely official. But either way, when you translate this text, it details the transcript of the unused ending, which I'll leave a link to the wiki page where you can read all about it for yourself, if you want to, that is. However, there is a hidden CG you can unlock in the original game where you can see all the students alive and escaping a direct reference to this scrapped ending. Teru drugs Hajime. On Teru's last free time event near the end of the conversation, Teru tells Hajime that he has made something for him to make Hajime happy, and to thank him for hanging out together. Once Hajime tries the dish, Hajime mentions that it was seasoned with something, but he couldn't tell what it is. Teru asks, more importantly, how is it? Are you feeling it already? Are you starting to feel a little weird? Hajime ignores this and replies with, what did Teru put into the dish? In which Teru says it's a secret. After Hajime says to himself, I desperately tried to keep my fading consciousness afloat, and somehow managed to return to my cottage. This gives the impression that Teru tried to drug Hajime, considering the fact that Hajime said he was going to go unconscious. I don't want to assume that this is true, but honestly, when you look at the entire transcript of his last free time event, it starts to look that's exactly what happened. Hidden out of bounds sprite during Danganronpa 2 Chapter 1 murder. A video uploaded on YouTube 7th February 2020 by somebody called Japan Man. This video is called Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair, Out of Bounds Book and Mysterious Object, and shows the person walking around out of bounds during chapter 1 and finding an object out of bounds, which is a sign with a red light bulb on it. After doing multiple searches for where this red light bulb could be, I legit have no clue where this appears in the game, and that's even if it does. Apart from this sign, there isn't anything else outside Out of Bounds, and I was actually wondering how this person even was able to clip Out of Bounds, and thought they hacked their way into the game. But apparently, according to the original poster, they mentioned that they have no idea how it works, or even how to activate it, and that it just happens randomly from time to time. Mahiru naked in game files. In Danganronpa 2, there is a shower scene involving Hiyoko and Mahiru where both of them are naked. The bubbles are used to hide their private parts, however, if you go into the game's files, you can actually find this scene again, but this time Mahiru is uncensored, and because of it, you can actually see her private parts. I obviously won't be showing this as it's against terms of service. Something to note too is that even with this uncensored version of Mahiru, Hiyoko is still censored, which only makes the question, what was the purpose of leaving Mahiru uncensored in the game files, when they could have literally just done the same as they did with Hiyoko by censoring her within the game files? Monokuma represents depression and mental illness. The only thing I could find on this was on April 4th, 2020, a website called Study Breaks did an article on the series in which they mentioned midway through the article, what really got me into this game was the fact that there are a lot of hidden messages behind it. Monokuma is just one character that, in a way, represents depression and mental illness, which can make you feel like you are caught in all this despair that's ultimately unescapable. I do wish that this person who wrote the article could go into way more detail about this, as that's all they say for the topic, but honestly, I have no clue or theories on this, and I have no idea why Monokuma would represent depression or mental illness. Danganronpa V3 was rushed. This is just a stupid rumor put out there when people don't like Danganronpa V3 or didn't like it as much as the other games in the series, when there is no legitimate proof or evidence to back up these claims. The only thing I can see pointing to this being true is that some of the CG in the game does look very off and unpolished, and because of this it causes people to believe it's rushed. However, the only thing I'm seeing from this online is people assuming it's rushed because they hate the game, and, well, like I said, there's no evidence of this being a thing at all. Danganronpa Wii U. An article posted on 25th of February 2014, it detailed that Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc was coming to the Wii U. They gave a short description of the game, and that's basically it. I'm not sure exactly how they even got this information, as when you do some research, this is the only thing that pops up. My guess is that somebody put this on here either by accident or on purpose, and well, it's been over 6 years, so they most likely just forgot about it. Kodaka wanted the series to end. I mean, this one is kind of obvious just by Danganronpa V3's ending, as it is very controversial, and it implies that the series was going over to a degree. But this is all just guessing. None of us actually work at Spike Chunsoft, so we have no clue. But there was an interview with the Spike Chunsoft CEO around this time of Kodaka leaving the company, in which one of the questions asked was, Danganronpa was a very successful series for Spike Chunsoft, but it also perhaps ended recently? In which the CEO replied with, it's taking a break. And that's it, that's all they said. In my opinion, by saying it's taking a break implies that it's not over, and will come back eventually. These explain that in 2020 we have a lot more Danganronpa broadcasts happening, and a lot more news happening recently, and well, this interview was 2 years ago, so it makes sense. Mikan was sexually abused. I'm not going to be talking about this one, as there isn't really anything that points to this except for it being suggested within the game, or by how Mikan acts and how her childhood went. Danganronpa Homemade Hypnotis Transformation Tape. This comes from a post that was submitted on a form which shares the same title as the one listed. It was posted on the 24th of December 2018, and included this. A while back, my best friend linked me to a thread on homemade Danganronpa Transformation Hypnotis tapes. That's a really loaded sentence, so let me ease into it. They were like hour-long recordings you were supposed to lay down and listen to and focus on nothing else. That started off with some relaxation techniques that eased into remember Kameda's happy memories. Imagine yourself literally becoming Kameda. Imagine your white hair. You are literally Kameda. All this with the goal of putting you in a mental state where you were convinced you were this character. The problem is that human brains are kind of buggy. Now this may sound a bit concerning and scary, as, I mean, I don't know how much the human brain actually works, but it sounds possible if you were forced to think nothing but this for hours and hours. It's kinda terrifying to think about, honestly. However, do not worry, as this post was just a copy pasta, and it ended with a joke of Chugami turning into people. So let's just be thankful that this is a joke and that nothing serious about this has actually happened, or if this even exists. Ibuki hanging over Tenko's dojo. This one comes from a Reddit post when Danganronpa V3 first came out, of somebody claiming that their friend showed them a screenshot of Ibuki hanging above Tenko's dojo in chapter 3, and they said that it's most likely a reference, and that they even say in the post that they don't really want to theorize on why it's there. And as many of you already know, this is fake and it's not real at all. Kokichi wears a Nazi hat. So apparently when Danganronpa V3 first was coming out, there was a lot of discourse, mainly on Tumblr, of people saying that Kokichi is a Nazi, with his official art showing a hat which looks very similar to a Nazi hat. However, saying that this is one, and that Kokichi himself is a Nazi, is a bit of a stretch. There isn't a point of me commenting on this nowadays, as the discussion has already been done and dusted. I'm sure just by searching it on Google, you can find many Tumblr posts from 2017 of people arguing about this. Danganronpa 2's 17th Monokuma Theater predicted V3's ending. I can 100% see the connection here, however, I doubt that they would have been planning Danganronpa V3's ending this early on before development. My guess is that this is just a coincidence, but I'll read it out and then you can decide your own thoughts on it. Everything is a lie. Monokuma doesn't exist. The Monokuma Theater doesn't exist. Everything is fiction. There's no meaning whatsoever. There's no relationship whatsoever. Everything was made. Monokuma can't be found anywhere. What are you doing here anyways? Monokuma Zone. In the Danganronpa 1 game files, there are multiple strings of text relating to unused rooms, with one of them being called the Monokuma zone. There is nothing else that relates to this in the game files, and we have no clue what this would have been used for, or what it even looks like. While on the subject, BGD_146 is a very similar case where in the game files of the second game, there was an empty image with the text BGD_146. After much speculation, it's most likely that this is an unused background or CG that never made it into the game, which, just like the Monokuma zone, we have no idea what this could have been or what this even looked like. Soichi's eye color. Okay, so apparently people see Soichi's eye color differently. I've come across multiple posts online of people being confused on his eye color with choices such as muddy gold, brown, green, bronze, and grey. I won't be posting any fan art, but I do notice that when you look up Soichi fan art, a lot of people actually confuse their color eye, so you get a lot of fan art with different colored eyes. Again, I have legit no idea why this is, and I'm sure your answer for Soichi's eye color will be different to others within the fandom. Outlaw Run is located in Toa City. Outlaw Run is that casino minigame in Danganronpa V3 where you have to drive a car through a city, hitting as many people as you can to earn points, with Mono Kid and Mono Dam acting as power-ups along your journey. You can see some connections to Toa City. We are in a city, plus the sky is the same shade of red that we see in Ultra Despair Girls. However, I'm pretty sure this rumor is actually true. Even though the game is called Outlaw Run, if you were to go into the game's files, it's actually called Toa Run. And even more, the sprite power-ups for Mono Kid and Mono Dam are actually called Kirakuma and Shirakuma within the game's files, which in my opinion proves this to be true. Mudakata was supposed to die. This comes from a winter 2016 interview with Kodaka with a Japanese magazine. I think it is anyways. But it's definitely an official source. The interviewer asked Kodaka about stuff that didn't make it into the Danganronpa 3 anime, in which Kodaka replies, Mudakata was supposed to die. As I recall, he was going to die protecting Naegi. I think at this point I'm happy he didn't actually die, but mostly because I want him to carry the weight of his sin from the time that he tried to get rid of Sakakura. It's also mentioned that Mudakata was supposed to have an after credits scene to show what happened to him next. However, we don't see that, and because of that, the only thing we see last of him is him parting ways with Naegi. South Korea, North Korea subplot in Danganronpa 2's lobotomy image. This comes from this image in Danganronpa 2 where it shows how they worked on Hajime's brain for him to turn into Izuru. However, if you try reading these pieces of text next to the images, it's hard to tell since this text is a bit messed up. But you can definitely see the words South Korean economy and North Korea government pop up here and there. Again, it's really hard to tell what some of these words are since the text is hard to read on purpose, but theories believe that it's a South Korean and North Korean subplot put there for whatever reason. Okay, so I just want to give a quick warning for some of these on the bottom layer, as some of them are a bit disturbing and it can be very uncomfortable for a lot of people. So please keep that in mind when we look at some of these. I know that some people would want a warning before I get into them, so please consider this your warning for what comes next. Tokyo Game Show ending image. This is referring to this image right here of somebody holding their hands together at their chest. This comes from a video that was shown at the 2015 Tokyo Game Show. Within this video, this is the first time the public ever got to look at Danganronpa V3. We get to see what the old HUD would have looked like, with the new UI of the Clash trial being shown, and Monomi, Shirakuma, and Kirakuma were being there as placeholders, most likely because they didn't want to show off any characters as of yet. However, at the end, there's a blood splatter that comes on and says, and more, ... then shows this image for a couple seconds before ending the video. Now, a lot of theories came out about this, and a lot of people thought this was the mastermind of the new game, but the thing is that this image doesn't appear anywhere in Danganronpa V3 at all. And because of this, it made me believe that this was an earlier CG within the game, and at first I even thought this was a beta version of Tsumugi, as it actually matched up a lot. But then I made a discovery that I believe uncovers who this actually is. It's Chiaki. Now let me explain. When doing research, I cannot find anything on anyone saying that this is Chiaki, except for this comment 2 years ago on a Weeby News video covering the same topic. But let's look at the evidence here. There is nobody else in the series whose outfit actually matches this, apart from Chiaki in her Danganronpa 3 anime outfit. Plus, this video came out before the Danganronpa V3 anime aired, and in my opinion, the and more ... wasn't referring to Danganronpa V3, but in my opinion says that Danganronpa will be coming in another form, which is the Danganronpa 3 anime. Either way, I don't see who else this could be, and out of everybody, Chiaki makes the most sense. Kameda-kin cuts off finger. This story dates back to 2017. I'm not sure what month exactly, as some of the details are still missing. However, the story starts that a Kameda-kin cut off their finger and recorded the audio in a Tumblr post. The original account has been deleted, but somebody reposted it soon after it was posted. I'm not going to play the audio, nor am I going to link it, as it's kinda disturbing. But this isn't the end of the story, as there are still a couple things that we need to talk about. One of them, which is the main question, is this real or fake? A lot of people claim it to be fake, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was. However, there isn't actually any confirmation that it's fake at all. When you try to research and gather evidence, you just get people saying supposedly OP said it was fake, which my only guess is that the original poster said this before deleting their account, but without seeing any screenshots or anything, I have legit no idea if this is real or fake. There are a couple of details that people talk about, such as that they were in a Skype call and they wanted to prove that they are really kin with Kameda, so they wanted to cut their hand off, but instead went with a finger. And apparently they also did it on cam on Skype, but then somebody recorded the audio and uploaded it. But then we also see other people claiming that it was done over Discord too. So I have no clue, since multiple different sources are saying different things, such as this post saying that they vomited afterwards and people were spamming the server that somebody called Vincent chopped their finger off. Many people out there say the audio sounds fake, but with multiple different stories that contradict each other, the original poster's account being deleted, and there being no evidence of this being confirmed fake, I'm just going to leave this as undetermined, as the lack of evidence is just a really confusing story with no actual ending. Danganronpa Unlimited Battle is a reskin of Kenka Botcha Crash Battle. Now I know how game development goes sometimes, and I'm not hating on any of the developers or anything, but I think this one is somewhat true. Danganronpa Unlimited Battle is a mobile game released in January 2015, and it was only available in Japan. It didn't last too long though, as it was removed from the App Store in November of the same year. I have no clue how I would explain the gameplay, so let's just say that it's a turn-based strategy game, I guess. But on the topic of it being a reskin of another game, well, that game would be Kenka Botcha Crash Battle, yet again only releasing in Japan for the mobile, and if you look at the gameplay, yeah, it's the exact same but with a different series. This was released months before Unlimited Battle came out, and it was also made by Spike Chunsoft, so it only makes sense that they decided to do the same type of game, but with Danganronpa skin over it. And to prove that this is actually the case, within the game's files there are unused card icons that come from Kenka Botcha Crash Battle. Like I said, I'm not hating on the development or anything, since it's the same company behind both games, so that's fine. However, since Danganronpa is way more popular, a lot of people believe that Kenka Botcha Crash Battle was a reskin of Limited Battle. However, it was not. Junko-kin gravestones. Honestly, I don't know if I can talk about this one as much, as I feel like I would somehow get in trouble, but I'll try to give some details. Basically, 2 Danganronpa cosplayers decided to make a video of them walking around a graveyard, stepping on people's gravestones and posting it on their Instagram. And as you can tell, a lot of controversial stuff happened at that point, and it got to the point where the 2 people involved deleted their Instagram accounts. The main reason I don't think I can talk about this as much is because I'm sure the cosplay community and the people involved want to forget about this and move on. So instead of trying to bring up a detailed analysis or whatever, I'm just going to leave it as that, as respects to both people's stance on the subject. Why Danganronpa V3 was banned in South Korea? Oh boy, this one. So on August 3rd, the South Korean Game Rating and Administrator Committee released a statement saying that Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony will not be coming out in the country. thus deeming the game banned in South Korea, with any retailer trying to sell the game would be counted as breaking the law. Now, why did they ban the game? Maybe the game was too much, even though there are other games that aren't as bad that are released in South Korea. However, figuring out why this game got banned will lead you to a very messed up and disturbing case. When the game rating committee rejects a game, it must provide a reasoning as to why it was turned down, in which they said, there is a concern for social disrupt due to the amplified portrayal of crime, violence, sex, and etc., which in turn would incite criminal behavior or copycat crimes. And you could argue as to why they didn't say this for the other 3 games in this series, as they all could have easily fit under this statement. But during around the same time of Danganronpa V3's release was a murder case of a 17-year-old woman murdering and dismembering an 8-year-old girl. This is what a lot of people had theorized as to the reason as to why the game was banned, as the committee feared a similar case would pop up again. But the main thing you have to know is that this person wasn't in the Danganronpa community and had no connection to the Danganronpa series at all. However, since this theory was growing more and more, a website by the name of This Is Game contacted the game rating committee to ask if this was the real reason, and they actually got a response. This decision was based on the game's content. We did raise concern about a copycat crime and whatnot, but the rating was not denied because of that. We determined that the game had crossed the line where it was difficult to allow in this society. The Monokubs are the Warriors of Hope. This theory mostly comes from before Danganronpa V3 came out, and honestly, the best piece of evidence towards this theory is their appearance matches with their colors. Monotaro and Daemon are red, Kotoko and Monofuni are pink, Nagisa and Monokid are blue, Monika and Monodam are green, and then I guess you could put Jotaro with Monoyosuke even though they don't really match up, but There are other small details about each that also help this theory, such as Monika is paired up with the more robotic one when she controls a robot for a good chunk of the Danganronpa 3 anime. Other hints could be that Diamond would say that he's the leader, but then Monika took control, which would line up with Monotaro acting as a leader, but then Monodam taking over in Chapter 3. Honestly, apart from this, there isn't much else that links these together, but one thing in my opinion that helps this theory a lot is the fact that what even are the Monokubs? Like, they basically have no lore behind them, and there isn't really any backstory on them, or like how they were created. So I feel like the fact that we get nothing about them lore-wise, a lot of people like to come up with these theories. The Monokuma Theater is actually real. Let's think about this one for a bit, and I'm not talking about in real life. But how does the Monokuma Theater actually work? You could say it's only for the player to see and not the characters in the game, but then you realize that in Chapter 5, Danganronpa 2, before you discover Kameda's body, Monokuma talks about having a break and shows a Monokuma Theater. And when you come back, he talks about it being a good Monokuma Theater. So, if the theory is that Monokuma Theater is only for the player, how does this work? If you say that Monokuma just fourth wall breaking, then when he said the Monokuma thing out loud, why didn't any of the other characters get confused or ask what he's talking about? You could also say that since the Future Foundation was watching Danganronpa 2, the Monokuma Theater is actually real and is being shown to the Future Foundation. But then this would also bring up the question, how would Monokuma know about the Monokuma Theaters in Danganronpa 1? It's very touchy and very confusing, as I have literally no clue on anything further than this. And I won't even be questioning the ones in Danganronpa V3, as the ending puts a whole different thing on the situation. IRL Killing Game on Instagram. As the name says, and as the screenshot in the iceberg shows, this was an Instagram account called IRL Killing Game. It said that they have 14 students, and made their post said this: "This is not an online killing game, it's in real life. Do not join if you are scared of death. Rules: 1. You can't leave. 2. Don't panic. 3. If you die, you're dead forever. 4. If you get caught, you'll be executed. 5. You must be okay with putting your life on the line." Then they detail that you must use a sign-up form. As you can expect, this obviously attracted many people to try and DDoS or even hack the person's account. I don't have screenshots, but I do know for a fact that it was all just a troll and it was a 14/15-year-old behind it. They said that they weren't trying to do an actual real-life killing game, and that they were only trying to have fun. Then the account was deleted, and then other people would make posts about this and use it as an example as to why Danganronpa has a bad fandom, which no, that's not how that works at all. You don't judge one person's doing a stupid thing and then judge a whole community for it. That's not how that works. There is another account that I found doing something very similar, but apparently it's just a shit post, even though there isn't really a joke here, plus they made one post. I mean, really funny joke there, you really got us, nice one. So there we have it, that was the entire Danganronpa Iceberg explained. I've been working on this project for about 3 weeks now, so I'm glad I'm finally been able to finish it, but more importantly, I just really hope the viewer, you out there, enjoyed watching it. And if you've made it this far into the video, I really appreciate it, and just thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure if I'll do something similar to this again, but I have a lot more video projects coming up, and I'm really excited to share them with everybody. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!